So, Didi, check this out, man. Why is pimps and the pimping game, why is it perceived as being so evil and gangsters are accepted? Tell us about it, man.
You understand? That's a good question. You understand? I'm gonna answer that question on a experience that happened to me. I was in Walla Walla prison, you understand, in 2002, you understand, doing some time for pimping, you understand, facing 25 years of life, but the jury didn't find me guilty of the most serious charges because they know the charges was BS in the first place. How you gonna charge a man for pimping when he shut down his escort service 3 years ago? But I was in the penitentiary, I was in Walla Walla prison, you understand, and a gangster came by, a killer. I'm not gonna mention his name because he's out, you understand, but we good friends. He gave me a hug. He came by my cell. I was sitting in my cell. He came by my cell with bad intentions to do bad things to me. You understand? He stood at the door and he said, "You pimping Didi from the Emerald City?" And I told him, "Yeah, I'm pimping Didi from the Emerald City." I didn't even get up off my bunk. You understand? But I was ready to die for this game. You understand? You know, from the wound to the tomb, from the fruit to the root. You understand? I'll start off the same way I end. I'm not gonna bow. I'm not gonna bend. I'm not gonna do nothing. Start off pimping. I'm gonna die pimping. You understand? So, you understand? He asked me this question. He said, "Well, you understand, Didi, I just came by to let you know, you understand, nigga, that you pimped on my younger sister. You understand? She 5 years younger than me, and you pimped on her while I was in prison. Her name is Keisha, you understand? And you pimped on her for 5 years, and nigga, you understand? I want to know what you got to say about that. You understand? He had a shank in his hand. He gunned up. He was ready to do some serious damage to me. You understand? But I broke him off this bar, and I'm going to break the world off this bar. If you look at a drug dealer, you understand? Now, don't get me wrong. We can't call a pot kettle black because both vice are bad vice. Pimping, you understand, is a bad vice. Drug dealing is a worse vice. So let's take the drug dealer himself. Do the math and get a calculator. A drug dealer sells drug, and I told this brother, and I said, "I know you. You're a known drug dealer. You sold drugs to my baby's mama. You sold drugs to my sister. My sister was on dope. You sold drugs to my brother. He OD'd on some dope. I don't know if it was your dope." So a drug dealer in whole, a drug dealer destroys the town. It destroys communities. It destroys families. It destroys the nation. Now, don't get me wrong. The drug dealer is not salting out to do this purposely because he's just trying to make a dollar coming up from some bad times. But do the math on how much a drug dealer, Hollywood praises gangsters, they praises drug dealers. But you don't see too many movies about no pimps because the media in Hollywood is in control of what people think. You say a pimp, automatically 2 thumbs down, I hate pimps. But you understand, I told him your sister was on crack when I met her. I met her in a crack house going to pick another hoe up that was selling some crack. And I told her, "You're very beautiful." You understand? She looked like Alicia Keys. You understand? She was 19 years old, about 110 pounds, long, beautiful hair. And I told her, "Give me 30 days, man. And thanks to my uncle in this book right here, you understand, the Kingpins of the Pimps, and the knowledge that I have gave, I imputed this game into her. A true pimp don't want a female on drugs. So I got her off drugs." I told the boy that was standing at my cell ready to do bodily harm to me, I said, "Now, do the math. Your sister was a crackhead. I got her off crack. I cleaned her up. She driving brand new Mustangs now, drop top. You paroling out to your sister. So if we do the math, a good pimp, you understand, he's going to bring a girl up. He's going to bring her to a level where society deems that she's worthy. And sex is a harmless vice. If a man wants to pay a young lady to have